that is the end of the Pearl Harbor strike. Now we move to the movement phase, continue on with the movement phase, and let's see what we got. First in here, we're going to go into the mountain. You have to stop as soon as you hit the mountain, so this will go like this. This is going to take Rangoon, and this will spread out this way. Okay, we staged there. We don't have any more movement there. We staged there. I got no movement up there. So my movement phase is done. Now the combat phase. We'll announce all naval missions. First thing we'll do is we'll counter-air this American plane here with one plane, so that gets counter-aired. So we start with a sea transport. This 6 will sea transport a 3-2 infantry to Segura. This 6 will transport this 1-2 to Hagfors, meet up with that force, which will then travel to Cam Ranh Bay, take these 12 fleets, these 2 infantry, join up. There, this force will take the Marine, sail to here, and then we'll move along to here. And so far we say, do you have any interceptions? You know, this group went from here to here, here to here, then this one went from here to here, and the sea transport went to there. So the British 9 fleet, remember 2 were sent up to try to intercept in the movement phase, the supply. They failed, so they're still available in the combat phase. They can't intercept or do anything in the same phase, but it's a new phase. So we're going to break down this 9, and we're going to send 2 first of all to go after that. Then we'll go ahead and see what he's got here, and he's going to drop off this 9 and the 1-2 and the 2-2 there. This whole force is going to continue to Palembang, where he's going to hit this. The air factor, Dutch air factor, is inverted, but this ship announces interception of that. The next force moves to hit Sora Bay. This ship announces interception of that. And the last force moves as it continues to invade Balikpapan. It's going to save one ship, because I'll tell you why. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring one ship from Cairns now. Okay, so one ship from Cairns goes out to intercept. One remains there. One goes out to intercept. Out of the 4 here, we're going to save 1 and only send out the 3 there. The one getting saved here is because you want to have an air defense here if it's struck, but more importantly, the Japanese are able to run supply to Dili, and then they can base aircraft here. Now, you can only move aircraft to a fully supplied port. So, if the Allies, if the Australians can cut supply here, then that's not a fully supplied port, and no supply is coming in here. So we save a ship there. It helps protect Darwin. It's going to have to do a little more effort. The British are going to aid in sending one to here, one to here, and they're going to keep 3 in reserve and hold back, and we're going to also bring out the carrier to try to intercept there. So that's what it looks like with me trying to intercept everything he has. Now I have a couple other naval base changes that I'm supposed to announce first. This one here will go to Lae, okay, and the one on Saipan travels to Mania. Okay, so there's those two. This force carrying the armor travels to Japan, picks up 3 more ships with 1 more armor tank, and it's going to invade right there at Philippines. So that is all the movement. And now I could even send out 2 more ships to try to intercept that one, but the problem with that I have is this task force is on patrol still, and he can just come over and he'll just sink them easy. I mean, other than that, they could die in an airstrike just as easy, but. And the counter interceptions, 5, 6, 7. The Japanese come right around there. It'd be 7, 8. So he has a range of an 8. What is 8 on the interception die roll? He needs a 1, 2, or 3. There we go. And he got it. Okay, success. That one's good. He brings out the other Australian to this Japanese force that's not invading the beach directly. It's going to hit the port. Remember, undefended ports, Japanese can walk through jungle, so the troops will move to there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Another 8 for that. So it's a 1, 2, or 3. This is an inverted error that's not allowed to be used on the first turn. This one's automatic. The British is automatic. The only one we're rolling for is this carrier, which goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's on the 12 table. And he needs to get a 1. Let's count that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. See, I'm looking at this. It doesn't look like I can cross from here to here. That's what it looks like to me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Otherwise, it'd be an 11. And 11 is going to be a 1 or a 2. Let's go ahead and give him the 1 or a 2. And he missed that. So the carrier does not work. The carrier goes home. So it's going to make our interceptions a lot easier. So only these 2 here. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4. He would have to be a 5. Anything but a 6. And he's good. So this one connects. This one is 1, 2, 3. And that's automatic. So there are our interceptions. We're holding 3 there. So here we go. The 2 Australian ship factors that split from Darwin, 2 went here and 2 went here. We are going to intercept out of the task force 2 with 1 ship. So that's why it went down to 4. And it's automatic because it's a patrol. Then this task force has decided to attack the Australian and the Dutch ship here, and it dispatched one fleet to go intercept this British and Dutch ship there, and coming out of the patrol, again, the interception is automatic. So that knocked this down to 3, and I gotta leave this task force at 3 because being a task force, you have to have at least 9 factors. So there's 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I can't take any more ships out of that. The other Japanese ship comes from Saigon. I had 2 there, and I took 1, and I'm selling it to here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it's on the 6 table. I have to get a 1 through a 4 to make that interception. Well, that is wrong. I don't intercept it over here. I actually intercept the British ship coming right out of Singapore. So it's 1, 2, 3, it's 4. So it's anything but a 6. And I got a 4. So that succeeds. The other British ship that was going to go intercept this is getting attacked right out of Singapore with 2 aircraft from Singora. Then the 2 British ships that left Singapore to intercept this transport to Singora is getting attacked by 1 Japanese aircraft, and we can start attacking right here. So it'll get attacked there, and we'll see how it does. And then that is it. So all the interceptions are covered. If they want to take that, they have to sink more stuff. This invasion will be unopposed. So that is how the interceptions and counter interceptions wind up. Basically, every interception has succeeded except for the carrier coming from Colombo.
Let me take a minute to explain the naval battles. It's different than the European side. Over here, when you get in a naval battle, it kind of moves through an interface. You have a strategic level game, but in a carrier naval battle over here, even surface battle, you sort of move to a tactical interface where you have more control over the battle. So it happens like this. When you get in a naval battle, and there's no carriers involved, there's a lot of steps you can skip. But you're still supposed to search out the enemy and then see what kind of surprise level you achieve on the enemy. Because if you get a good surprise level, you can initiate fleet combat and get a +1 to your die roll modifier. Otherwise, you go through 3 rounds of surface engagement looking for the enemy. On the 3rd round, after the 3rd round, you then fight in a fleet combat. 1 fleet combat takes place, and then you conduct the losses. So what you're going to see me do here with a lot of fleet combat is just skip the other rounds, just go right to the fleet combat, because you're going to fight 1 round. So when you have a 1 fleet factor against 1 fleet factor, you just go to the round. It isn't like you're going to have different rounds to go to, because there's only 1 fleet factor, and you're going to either lose the ship or abort it. So I just usually go right to the 3rd round, do your surface engagement, and be done with it. And then the carrier battle is something different, and you add more steps to that because you got to throw airstrikes in the first 3 rounds before the fleet combat occurs. And then we'll discuss that when we do the carrier battle. But when surface ships get into a battle, they're not in task force because they don't have 9 fleet factors. So when you're not in a task force, you just leave the ships on the board, and everybody knows what the opponent has. You're just trying to see what kind of level of surprise you have. So anyways, I'll be going through the surface engagements rather quickly.
We're going to take off here, and it's going to get attacked by a Japanese 1-3 from Segura. The other British ship takes off from there, and it's going to get attacked by another 1-3. The last British ship takes off, and it's heading over to help this force. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to get involved in that battle, and it has to roll. On the 7 table, it's a 1 through a 4. And it succeeded. So the Japanese stop it as it's leaving Singapore. From here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, anything but a 6 for the Japanese. And it's succeeded. So that is every ship available, except for I still have 2 Japanese naval aircraft available, and I'm saving them for, I can strike if my battle fails with the unit coming here, I can attack, and if the battle fails with the unit coming here, I can attack with those naval air factors. So I'm sort of holding on to them. So we will start the battles. So let's start with the 2 fleets that are leaving Singapore and trying to intercept this. The aircraft hits them right here as they leave. They get an air defense roll. And he rolled a 4 on the air defense table with 2 ships. Sorry, it's 1 factor. With 1 factor of 4 is a miss. Now we're going to roll our Japanese airstrike. And it's a 10. The airstrike has 1 factor at a 10, and it eliminates the, I'm just looking at the Air Force nationality, the roll modifier, and it's a 0. So it eliminates 1 ship and sends 2 abort. So this one is a success for the Japanese. It goes home. 1 British ship is dead. I'll keep track, let's say. Back right here, this is sunk. And 1, we'll use this when it's all said and done. And 1 goes back home. Okay? And 1's aborted. So this one will go back to Singapore, and I'll change it out with the right ships when we're done. The next ship trying to intercept the Brunei gets hit by 2 aircraft. I was just thinking about it. It should have been done the other way around. 2 ships should be hit by 2 aircraft. But the reason I did this is because I definitely want this one to succeed. I need the oil field. So, and I have naval aircraft to back up there. So the air defense roll is another 4. And we know with 1 ship, that's a miss. Here's the air attack. Air attack is an 11. Wow. That sinks that ship. So, this goes home. That 2-3 went home. And this ship is sunk. Now, this 1 ship, that takes care of these 2 up here trying to stop that and that. This 1 British ship is trying to take off and go join down here, and we came here to intercept it. It's a 1-on-1 fleet battle. We have to roll for the search modifiers. Here is the English, gets a 5. The Japanese get a 2. The difference is a 3. So the surprise goes to the British with a 3. And a 3 says, the attacker may evade fleet combat if it would otherwise begin. All that means is you're in for another round of combat. So you fight it or or you try again and hope for a better modifier. Because what you want to try to get is this modifier up here. The attacker receives a +1 on his fleet die rolls. You want to get the 4 difference, and he only got a 3. So, or you go more than 3 rounds, and you can withdraw. So, he's going to wait for a better one. No need to get into it now. You'll probably lose a ship. Or if you get into it now, the Japanese don't get a better one. So yeah, let's fight it now. He wants to try to get out there. So let's roll the British roll. The British get a 6, and the Japanese get an 8. So let's see what that does on the fleet combat. Fleet combat, for every 3 factors, the nationality difference. Britain and Japan are the same, and there's nothing else. There's no surprise of 4 or more. So it's a 8 to a 6. And there's 1 fleet involved. The 6 sinks a Japanese ship, but the 8 for the British also sinks the British ship. So that one basically is stopped. There's another British dead and 1 Japanese dead. Now the next strike was a ship trying to leave here to help this invasion force, and we attacked it with 1 Japanese aircraft. Here's the air defense roll. We have a 7 on that one, on air defense. And he has 1 factor, and a 7 aborts the aircraft. And that plane went back home, and this one succeeds in reaching the interception point. This aircraft will do the same. This fleet is trying to get over to this one, and we're going to try that. Air defense roll again. And he got a 6. A 6 with 1 factor is a miss. You need at least a 7. So the airplane attacks. The attack is a 4, and we have 1 air factor. Air attack table, 1 air factor of 4 aborts the ship. So this 1 British ship goes home. So there's 2 British ships back to Singapore. Okay, so 1 has gotten through so far. So now we're ready for our battles. This one's going to make it, and this one's going to make it. That makes it, that makes it, that makes it. We have these 3 to deal with still. And they're all going to be fleet battles. Right here is an Australian against a 1 Japanese. Roll for the search modifier. Here's the British, or the Australians. 5 and a 1. That's a difference of a 4. That's what they're looking for. Now, with that surprise, they get a +1 to the die roll. Japanese get a -1. The naval modifiers here is Australia and Japan are equal. They're both at a 2. So now, the Australians get to add 1. Here we go. And they just got an 11, and 1 more is a 12. With 2 fleet factors. And it's a 1-2. So the Japanese ship will be sunk, and we have to -1. And a 3 minus 1 is a 1, and it's nothing. So 2 Australian ships make that invasion. Japanese is sunk. This battle. There's 2 Japanese ships. We have 2 British and a Dutch. And you're supposed to use the lesser die roll modifier. So we'll have to go with that. But let's do the search. Here's the British. British have a 5. And And let's, oh sorry, you only roll one dice. The British rolled a 1. And the Japanese rolled a 5. That's a difference of a 4 to the Japanese. So now they're going to get 1. Plus it's the Dutch. And they're another -3. So it's a -4 to this die roll for the Allies. 7 and 4 is a 3 with 3 factors. That's still on the first table and it's a 0. The Japanese roll a 4. And they get a 5, 6, 7, 8. And an 8 with 2 destroys 1 and aborts 1. So we're going to destroy the Dutch. We're going to abort 1. Now as long as one fleet combat has taken place, they can choose to withdraw. And the British are just going to save their losses and go home. So that attack succeeded. One of these came from here. They both came from right there. So this attack is going to succeed. So let's get into a naval battle right here. And let's go ahead and search. Here is the British. They roll a 4. Here's the Japanese. They roll a 5. That's a difference of a 1. One enemy combat group remains hidden. Combat groups 1 and 2 may attack. So they're staying hidden until we get to the naval surprise table. The Japanese are carrying out an activity. They get -1. Got an 11. It's 1 and 1. And then here is the Japanese 6, 7, 8, 9. And it's 2 sunk. So these 2 Australians, but they did their job, and we lose 1 and 1. So 1 Japanese ship is destroyed. So that's a 3 total destroyed. 1 is aborted. It goes back to a port. And 1 remains. So we lost. We only have 9, 10 factors there now. The 1, 2 died. So that's what we got left hitting Balikpapan. Okay. That's it. The last battle is the carrier battle. So with the task force involved, we're going to go through a few more steps. The first thing you do is you take the task force, it's task force 2, and you form combat groups. Now you have to have 9 fleet factors to form a combat group. The more combat groups you have searching for the enemy, the better your search modifier. However, only a couple combat groups, 1, 2 of them, maybe 3, will come in contact at one time and be able to fight. So you're weakening your force, yep, you're helping your search. So what you do is, we only have 2, 4, 6, 3 is 9 factors. So we can only make 1 combat force, and that's why I didn't take any more ships out of this, because I want to keep it at 9. And we assigned all aircraft to naval strikes. No cap, no land-based strikes. And now we roll for search modifiers. So on the search modifier table, for each combat group, we have a +1. We don't have any airbase with an uninverted air factor on it in range. And we're not carrying units or supply. And they can use a magic point. This ain't the Americans anyway, so no magic. So let's roll for the Japanese, and they will add 1. And they get a 6. Let's roll for the surface ships. And they get a 6. So all enemy combat groups are located. Combat groups 1 and 2 may attack. So with no search modifier advantage, there's going to be 3 rounds where the airplanes get to strike the ships before the ships can come in contact. So first we send We're sending 6 aircraft in on these ships. They get an air defense die roll. Let's see what that. Therefore, you go to the surprise table. There's nobody in surprise. So airstrikes by patrolling task forces are resolved before it is. And for every 9, so they get a 1, and then that's it, because everything else is in the water. So they have 1 air defense factor. Let's see their roll. Their roll is a 5, and a 5 is 0. Now we're going to airstrike 6 planes with an 8. And what modifiers on the air attack? We don't have over 10. We didn't achieve a surprise, but our Air Force nationality, we are elite, so we get a +1. So that 8 comes to a 9 with 6 factors. And you can see here it's a 3-4. So 3 ships are sunk. That takes care of them. And that's the end of that battle. So the patrol goes back on station where it is. And I think we concluded all interceptions, counter interceptions. So it is time for the combat. Now this one that came out here is uncontested. It goes back to Saipan. This one is uncontested. It goes back to Truk. Now here, once you invade, you see it's a beach. You can travel inland like it was a sea transport. So it'd be 1, 2 into the Jungle Mountain Hex, and we're going to wait right there. What I'd like to do is get control of the city, get some airplanes around here, but we're going to go ahead and defend in the Jungle Mountain because we're heading over to Port Moresby. Okay, this one, well, we'll move to this one right here. What do we have left here? We had to use all our planes. We sea transported that here. That goes back. And now I have 4 attacking 2. So the attack there, he has a defensive multiplier of a 2 plus the jungle is a 3. You take away one of those, it's a 4 right there. And I have 4 in infantry. And I have 4 in infantry. So I have to make one change here. I messed up. These naval factors have to do the interception here with the ships, because they're better at the ships and they work just as good as Army air factors. So these 2 are going to be spent. So effectively I didn't have to use 2 airplanes, and that's the way this attack needs to be. So on this attack you provide 2 air support, and we rolled a 1. It is an exchange. So I have to lose 4 factors. So I'll take the Indian 2 off. I have to lose the German 3-2 and a German 1 of the planes, because I want the infantry to survive to go there. So that's how that goes. In this one we had a 1-2, and here I had the extra 3 shore bombardment. So you're doubled for 2, 3 the invasion. You're going to get 4 because of the swamp. So you have a 4, but you lose 1 because of the marine, the seaborne, so you're down to 3, and then you lose 1 because Allied and Premier, so you're down to 2. So this is a 2, and I have 2. 1 more for shore bombardment is 3, and 3 of these planes are going to support that. And a 5 is a kill. Is a victory with shore bombardment. Our next invasion hits this port and is able to walk to here. And again, I got 2. And your defense is only a 1. Wait, it's a 2-1 because of Allied unpreparedness. And a 2-1 is a 4. And a 4 on a 2-to-1, on a 1-to-1 is an exchange. So we lose that. Japanese lose 1. So that's that. This 6 goes back to there. This one says the beach gives defenses 2, the beach 1, and the jungle. So you're a 4 here, but you lose 1 for allied unpreparedness. So you're a 3. And I'm hitting it at a 3. And we roll at a 1-to-1 rate right there. That's why I always do this one last, because if I lose, I'm going to take a 1-to-1 on this and march one of my infantries up to the jungle mountain hex. So next turn, I can attack it. So it's a 1-to-1 on this, and it won't do me any good to use 1 ground support, which would give me a 4 to a 3. Because if I lose 2, I'm taking off the infantry. Well, how much ships do I need? I only need 9 to carry that now, but I have an extra 1. Remember, I lost some on the invasion. So that is a 1-to-1 shot. And it's a 4. That is a total exchange bait. So we do lose this, and we do lose that. So, Pollock Popkin has not been taken yet, but it is empty. That is why now, the attack here on the British, with these 2 that march down, you can move through the jungle. So you go 1, 2 like this, and 1, 2 like that. And then the attack is an exchange, in which we're going to have to lose the 2. So it would go like this, which we're going to lose the 2 like this. So these 2 are eliminated. But since this is involved in attack, we occupy Kung Ching. And that's that. So we only felled right here.